In the first module, we learned how incorporating youth development principles into physical education, physical activity, can lead to positive youth outcomes and create better engagement in activities among young people. In the second module, we learned that youth engagement means giving youth power, believing in youth, and allowing them to lead in meaningful ways. We also learned about the benefits of engaging youth in a CSPAP via the 4 E's: equity and inclusion, effectiveness, engagement, and energy. In the third module, we learned about the levels of youth engagement and explored how youth are more engaged and invested in programming when they have the opportunity to authentically participate by leading and having autonomy. These levels range from no youth engagement, where youth are not included in any programmatic activities, to the highest level where youth are managing themselves and contributing to programming with little adult authority. In this fourth and final module, we are going to explore 6 skills, or forms, that can be incorporated into PEPA programming that are crucial in building youth participation and engagement. These 6 skills, or forms of youth engagement, are helpful tools when thinking about how to increase youth participation in programming and moving from one level of youth engagement to the next. For example, giving youth more opportunities for decision-making might help your program move from consultation to representation on the youth engagement level scale. Depending on the age, developmental ability, or contextual constraints, you might consider some or all of these forms when thinking about engaging youth. Choosing means having young people choose which activities they wish to participate in and how they wish to participate. An example of choosing is when students identify their favorite activities to energize the class after lunchtime. Decision-making means allowing young people to meet regularly to discuss and modify existing classroom policies, program rules, and procedures. This could be having students review this district's wellness policy to find a way to keep the school gym open for community members outside of school hours. Planning means allowing young people to meet regularly to plan future classroom activities, games, or curricula. For example, you can have students plan activities for your Bring to Parent to PE week. Assessing means young people can give feedback and engage in program and school evaluation activities. An example of assessing is when students survey their fellow students to identify what after-school activities or intramural sports are the most popular. Communicating means young people can regularly present the school program to outsiders, such as tours, talks to community audiences, and presentations to parents and funders. For example, students share information about an upcoming fun run to a school board member. This is an example of communicating. And finally, implementing means young people can lead activities and sports and engage their peers in meaningful discussions. An example of this is students leading warm-up activities at the beginning of PE class. Choosing which form of youth engagement to try will depend on different factors like grade level, level of youth engagement, and purpose of an activity. An elementary school child might be best at choosing which activity to do during a recess break. Whereas you might have a middle school student communicating to their peers by offering instructions for an activity. And finally, a high school student might be best at implementing, leading a class-wide discussion on the importance of physical activity. While some forms are more appropriate than others, remember that in physical education and physical activity, there is always an opportunity to engage young people using these forms, and even bump things up by using more than one form to engage them. For our final reflection activity, how might you imagine elementary school students being best engaged in PEPA? How about a middle school student? High school student? Take some time to jot down a few ways that you will incorporate one of these forms of youth engagement into some aspect of PE/PA programming with your own context. In summary, some core principles to keep in mind in order to engage youth include listening to young people. Create space for youth to share their insights and perspectives. Stop yourself from taking over. Relatedly, it's critical to actively listen and actively step back from taking over. As an adult, it can be tempting to try and step in for youth in the spirit of helping and guiding. But again, you want to create space for youth, and that might mean giving them a bit more time and space while supporting them along the way. Encourage opportunities for leadership. Intentionally think about where you can shift some decision-making power over to youth. However, remember that youth engagement should be meaningful. So not only will you need to provide opportunities, but you might also need to provide training, support, and practical resources to ensure youth can truly engage. This is how you set up youth to succeed. Hold high expectations for youth, all while being understanding and patient when processes might not go the way that you are used to. And also be as authentic as you can engage with youth. Relationships and trust are key to youth engagement. And finally, have fun. As you know, when working with young people, there is never a dull moment, and the creativity and energy can be boundless.